I guess it would have helped if I'd had my mic on, huh? Whoops. Every week I forget something. So let's start over. Today we're going to do this fun fold called a waterfall fold. So congratulations. Or no, I'll do that in a minute. Last week we did this shimmer card, and that's going out to Brenda and Sandy. Brenda already got her card. Sandy, I need your mailing address. If you'll private message me somehow with your mailing address, I'll get that out to you. Okay, now that we have sound going, I'm Donna Goodwin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Brookings, South Dakota, and we have a nice, bright, sunny day today. So wherever you're watching from, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, I hope you have a nice, bright, sunny day as well. So let's switch cameras and go ahead and get started. Okay, thank you for letting me know about the volume, Lori and Deb. So I'm gonna demonstrate this card, and then when we're all done, I'll do some question and answers. So if you have some questions, just go ahead and put a Q in front of it. It makes it easier for me to find it. You'll notice I've already posted a question that you can respond to if you like, just to kind of get the conversation going. So these waterfall folds kind of look a little bit on the difficult side, or you might look and say, oh, there's too many bits and parts and pieces and measurements. They're really not that difficult, and the measurements are in the description. So this time I have a ribbon pull, so it's pretty obvious that you're going to pull, and you just have these pieces that come as you go along. Now I have, and it says happy birthday, your friend. I have sized these pieces for a standard 4¼ by 5½ inch card. You can do it as a flat card base and then put a white base on the back for your writing, or in this case, I went ahead and put it on a regular card. So, and, you know, my favorite sentiment right now is I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out, but I'm in love with these adorable owls. So the owls are a part of Celebration. We have 1 month left in Celebration, where you can earn this stamp set here in the United States for a $50 product order. So I have used everything except the Hoot Hoot You're Cute in this adorable owl stamp set. Like I said, I really like these owls. But I also brought in a couple other stamps just because I wanted some different pieces. I brought in Peaceful Moments for this happy birthday because I liked the script. Good morning, Mary Sherry. You won't have to catch up on the replay, Sherry. You haven't missed anything yet. And then I brought in the Something Fancy because I'm in love with this sentiment about not forgetting your birthday, just extending the celebration. The best part is all you need is a trimmer. I did not use any dies this time. So I started with a card base that's 5½ by 8½, scored in the middle at 4¼ because I decided to just still do a regular size card, but then just put the waterfall effect on the front. But if you're trying to conserve cardstock, go ahead and just do a flat base and put a white piece on the back. So I'll set that aside. And then we have our what I call Waterfall Mechanism. This is 2 inches by 9 inches. Again, this is sized for a standard card. If you add more waterfalls or they're larger waterfalls, you're going to want to resize either to a larger card or you're going to want to cut these waterfalls into smaller pieces. So for ours, 2 by 9, and we'll do some scoring on this. And then we need an anchor piece here. So our anchor strip is 1 inch by 4¼ Then we need our waterfall pieces. So I used Mango Melody, and these measure, there's 4 of them, and they measure 2 inches by 2 inches. Nice, easy measurement. We need a piece for the inside of our card, our standard 4 by 5¼ Our designer series paper is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, or just a smidge smaller than what you're used to. And then I have the other part of our waterfall. These are 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. There's 4 of them. For those of you who don't like those 1/8 and 16th measurements, just a smidge smaller than your 2 by 2 squares. So I'm going to set all those aside. These are the pieces we're going to stamp on, so we'll start with those. I'm using Memento ink because it works well with blends with alcohol markers. And I have a whole slew of alcohol markers over here to color with. So please do stay to the end if you're able, because I am going to show a sneak peek of what I'm going to upload on Friday. So on the inside, I decided I wanted the birthday hat owl. I can use a little more pressure on this ink pad because it's a felt tip. It's a felt pad, so it'll take a little bit more pressure than the foam pads do. And so there we have that. And I'm going to set that aside while we're working with our owls. I'm going to bring in some scrap paper because this little owl, let's see, we're going backwards here. This little owl, we're just going to show the top of him. So I'm just going to put him down here on the edge, like that. And we'll bring in our flying owl. Thank you, Sherry. Sometimes I color really well, and sometimes not so much. We have our little owl that's flying. I'm going to reach up this way, sorry. That was our top owl. Now we need our little owl with the bow tie. He's dressed up for this party. So there's all of our owls. And then I'm going to stamp this piece here, the It's Your Day, It's My Friend. And you'll notice on my sample, my friend shows up just a little bit. So when I do it today, I'm going to move them up just ever so slightly. So I'm going to start with It's Your Day, because every day should be your day, but your birthday should especially be your day. Oh, can I do this without getting my head in the picture? Oh, yes, Lori, the grandkids will love these owls, especially if you just stamp them and let them color them. Okay, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to bring my friend up a little bit closer to the It's Your Day this time. So like I said, I am going to do questions and answers at the end. However, you don't need to wait till the end to ask your questions. So I'm going to set all these aside for a minute. We'll come back and do some coloring. And I'm going to close this up temporarily. I want to create my fold and score lines before I stamp my happy birthday, just so I have a better view or an idea. So we're going to start by bringing the trimmer in. We're going to leave the score blade or the cutting blade out of the way. We're going to keep the score blade. We're going to do that first score line at 2 inches. And then we're going to do it at 2 3/4. So basically we're doing it at 3/4 of an inch as we go along. 3 1/2 and 4 1/4. And I forgot to bring the punches over here. So chat among yourselves for just a second. I usually try to have everything within reach, and this time I forgot. I'm going to choose Label Me Lovely, and I'm going to put it through because I just want this scalloped edge here. And so I'm going to come in from the top rather than from the bottom. I'm going to come in from the top. And I'm just going to kind of center it there, and I just barely put it to the bottom edge of that, and I'm going to punch that. And that way I can get this punched just on the edge. But I need a ribbon slide, so I know I'm going to bring in the Label Me Fancy. And you have a hole here for twine and a ribbon slide for here. So we're just going to slide this in. I'm going to come in all the way here first to kind of get an idea where the center is. And then I'm going to slide it back just so this doesn't show. And punch out a ribbon slide. So now we have our mechanism going. It doesn't matter which side you use. I like to fold with the mountain side to the inside. So I'm just going to fold all of these, and we're going to fold them all in the same direction. But now we know exactly where the center portion is here. So I'm going to come back with my memento and stamp happy birthday. I should have done a little bit more of this ahead of time. We're already at 15 minutes. And I try to stay at half an hour or under. And there you have that. So with my owls, you do need something underneath. To protect your surface, because alcohol markers will bleed through. And I'm just going to, we'll start with his face. So I have ivory here to do his eyes. So kind of the whites of his eyes. And then I have crumb cake here, light and dark, to do his face. And everyone has a different way they like to do this. I like to start by putting down a base coat of my light. Some people like to put their detail with their dark first. And if you're watching me live, don't forget that toward the end, we'll do a live giveaway where the platform picks out, spins it through and picks someone out. And it does pick those from comments. And if you're watching on the replay, also still do your likes, comments, and shares. I use a different platform to go gather those, because we don't want to leave our replay friends out. So I just add in a little bit of dark where I want to put emphasis on the dark. And then I come back with the light, and I go over the dark and the light and start blending it together. And you can leave some areas where you don't go over them together so that they stay even lighter, or you can go over them. It's all a matter of preference. The one thing I have learned with the alcohol markers is not to oversaturate your cardstock. If you do, it bleeds outside the lines. Now, if you want it to bleed outside the lines, that's perfect. But if you don't, if you want to stay inside the lines, then you don't want to oversaturate. And then I go through and I color my whole owl, trying to work away from spaces. So I would come up and I would do the feet or the ear and the hat, trying to stay away from where it's wet so that the colors don't bleed together. But then I also did a second coat. So you're looking at this and you're like, wow, one's really lighter than the other. After it dried, I came back and I did the same process again, but that way it didn't oversaturate my cardstock, and I can get this effect. And I do have, they can't go away on me. There we go. I do have some that I have already colored so that we wouldn't spend as much time on coloring and a little more time on putting our mechanism together. But we do need a sentiment. So Granny Apple Green is the color I chose for my sentiment. And assembly is much easier than you might think. So let's just go ahead and put our inside in and our little chicken wire in together first. This one's got geese and a windmill and some chickens. But we're going to use the chicken wire side. Not that we have our owl in a cage. We don't. We're going to say that our owl has escaped a cage. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on my anchoring mechanism. Now you want to use a really strong adhesive for this because let's face it, we're going to be, you and your recipient are going to be playing with it a lot. So I'm just going to put some tear and tape on the edge on both sides. And I'm not going to fight with it with fingernails. I'm going to take your pick tool and use the paper piercing side to get underneath this backing. And again, just keep asking your questions and I will get to them at the end. And we'll put that right about here. Maybe it doesn't matter where you put it. You just need it to be underneath this bottom piece here. So I'm going to set that there and we're going to start working on our mechanism. So we need to attach all these little pieces. This is where it gets fast. The longest part of this card is cutting all the pieces, because you do have a little bit more pieces than normal, and coloring. And this is a great, this slide would be a great one to go back and watch replay and pause it wherever you want. I hope you will go back and make this card and then share with me what you made with the waterfall. I have not done the waterfall fold in many, many years. I forgot how much fun it is. Okay. We're going to lay it with our pull side up here. And we're going to start with the bottom and work our way to the top of our waterfall. So we're going to put our bottom one on here. You can make your pull mechanism a little bit smaller than your squares if you like. I just find it works, as long as it's not over, it's a lot easier to work with. So we just want adhesive. We're going to put adhesive here this time rather than here because we don't want it to stick here. So this just makes it easier to keep track that we stay just in there. So we're going to do our little birthday guy last, or the next fall from the bottom. And you see that it didn't stick to the back here. That's what we're after. But when you are using liquid glue, you got to be careful not to move things around too much. Then our little owl with bow tie all dressed up for the party. So we got our owl with a party hat and our owl with the bow tie. And I'm just underneath that score line there. And then we got our owl. I'm going to say this owl is on his way to the party. We don't want to say he's going away from the party. He's on his way to the party. Now we're going to fold our mechanism so that we're like this. And we're going to slide this part underneath our anchor piece. And then you have to decide where you want it. You could go in the center. You could go off to the edge. I opted to go out to the edge. And we're going to push this all the way up to the top. Hold it in place. And we're going to put a piece of tearing tape, something really strong, right in here. It sticks really well to my fingers. We're going to line him up at the top. And anchor that last fold. And we have our waterfall. Now all we need is to make it easy for people is to add a bit of ribbon. I have this brand new from the mini catalog balmy blue and white variegated ribbon. And I'm just going to pick a piece. Fold it in half. And slide it through that little slot. Slide my tails through that. And then just trim our ends off. And that's your waterfall card. Now, I need to add some. Now I have to decide. I colored with my dark balmy blue Stampin' Blend some rhinestones and some of the matte dots. I have to make a decision. And if you're a fast typer, you can help me with that decision. Should I use the matte dots or should I use the shimmery dots, the rhinestones? It's kind of hard to see in here the difference between them, but maybe I'll do one of each. So I'll just go ahead and do these on this one. I'm just going to add some rhinestones. And then on the other card, I'll do the matte dots. The important part is you don't want to put any embellishments. Well, you can, but if you put embellishments on these waterfalls, sometimes they get hung up as they're pulling through. So keep that in mind. So I am going to, real quick before I change cameras, give you a sneak peek at the uploaded video that I will do on Friday. It won't be a live, it'll just be something I upload. So I'm going to set those aside. We're going to do a magic slider card, or I'm going to post a video on a magic slider card. So it just looks white and kind of plain. And I didn't use ribbon, so I had to write the word pull. And then as you pull this piece out, it reveals your colored image. So Friday, look for a pre-recorded video to go up on this card. Okay, let's switch cameras. And we'll start asking questions. But while I'm doing that, before I get to that, I'm going to get it set up here real quick to capture comments for the live tool. Okay, so let's do comments real quick, or questions, and then we'll get to that. So we dealt with the volume. Thank you, Mary. I'm glad you liked this card. And Sherry had originally said she had to catch the replay, but we were just getting restarted because I had forgot to turn my volume on. Thank you for the comment about my coloring. Okay, questions. Lori says, oh no, Lori says she can't wait to do it with her grands. Yes, her grandkids are going to love this. Question. As you worked on this, did you try any different themes? I didn't this time. However, I have in the past, and that you can do it with just about anything. To be honest with you, I did a perfect Donna. I was procrastinating, and I was doing this yesterday. So I didn't have time to really do a bunch of different themes. Deb says, this looks complicated, is it? Not really when you break it down step by step. And Deb has another question that says, do you have written instructions for this? Not at the moment, but I can work on that. I can certainly work on that. And Sherry thinks this is clever. There's a lot of different ideas out there for a waterfall card. Is this an advanced card? Maybe. But like I said, once you break it down, it's not so tough. Do you have to use tear and tape? You do not have to use tear and tape, but you do need to use some really strong adhesive. So if you're not using tear and tape, another Stampin' Up! Adhesive would be Stampin' Seal Plus. It's a super, super strong adhesive, but you definitely want to use something very, very strong that's not going to give loose as people are constantly pulling on it. How long is the ribbon? Oh, I don't know, about 6.5 inches, because I have fat fingers and I need a little extra ribbon to be able to get my fingers to go through it. But if you're good at tying bows without having a lot of extra tail, you can certainly use a smaller piece. Mat. I think when I was talking about something, you might have been explaining to somebody that this was the mat. Mary, if I'm wrong, please correct me. If you made this card as a full card, will it require extra postage? It is pretty thick, so it might. If you swap out the ribbon, now this is a real thin ribbon, and that's why I chose it. It might not, depends on how thick the ribbon is, depends on how many waterfall pieces you have and how many mats you use. It could possibly, I think this one will probably go through without it. I've just gotten in the habit of always doing all my cards when I mail them with the extra non-machinable stamp, and then I'm covered. It costs a little more, but. And did you use the markers to color the blue background around the owls? I did. I did use that. And I panicked yesterday because I was working on the last one and it was like getting dry. And I'm like, oh no, I hope I have another one. I did happen to have another one. So whew, lucky me. And matte bling. Oh, the matte bling for the front. Okay. The other card, I'll do the matte bling for the front. There we go. It looks like that's everyone's questions for right now. So let's queue up the giveaway tool. There we go. Hold on. Okay, we'll just do it this way. I'll get there. So let's let it start collecting here real quick. So it looks like there's a lot of comments, but it looks like there's 6 of you. So let's draw and see which of the 6 of you is going to get the waterfall card off of the live stream. I moved off that. There we go. Lori. Okay, congratulations, Lori. I am going to stop sharing. Come back here. There we go. So I'll get that out to you, Lori. Congratulations. And again, everyone, don't forget to check back on Friday for an uploaded video on the Magic Slider card. Another fun one for adults and children. But I have a few little tips, especially when you're working with the window sheet on that. So come back on Friday and check that out. That'll be uploaded versus live. And I will be live again with something else on Monday, 10 o'clock, same time, same place. Hope you'll join me here. Happy trails, everyone. Bye-bye.